putting this pressure on ourselves, and then at the same time
Mhm.
we're setting these milestones, but are we setting the milestones according to what we want or what society is saying that it should be? You know what I mean? Like it's
I think we set milestones according to a former version of ourselves.
yeah.
And out of your head, how it's all gonna go. So you think you got it covered, but there's always something new that you discover you've not thought about.
Shannon,
That's me, here I am.
how are you?
I am alive, I am blessed, I'm not gonna say well.
Okay.
I'm alive and I'm blessed. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I like that. Like I said, well, I am okay. I am okay.
Can we normalize that? Like,
Like, seriously.
I tell people all the time when they're like, "How are you?" And I have to take a deep breath and figure out how I am
Talk
because
about it
we're
for
so
real.
quick to be like, "Good, fine, great." And the whole time there are like fire alarms going off in your head.
Exactly, exactly,
So let's normalize taking a pause to really be honest
exactly.
about how we are.
I am so with you. I've been having to do that as well. Like, look, I'm not putting on the front and no longer. Like, I'm done. I'm done with the front. Like, look, today, honestly, I'm all right. Like, I'm all right. It is what it is. I'm blessed because I'm
You're like,
alive. Like,
present and accounted for. That's it. That's all I can give
right,
you is I'm here.
right. I'm alive and I'm breathing and I'm blessed. But hey, it's
That's all you
I
can
don't
get
know
from me
whether I'm
today.
coming, going. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the next moment is gonna hold. But I'm here.
Imma start answering that question. You tell me.
I like it.
How are you? You tell me. What are you getting
I
from me?
like
That
it.
whatever you're getting from me, that's what I am. There
Exactly.
we go.
Exactly. I like that. I'm gonna use that answer too. I'm let you know I'm still in it, just so you know.
By all means, sis, by all means. It's
Exactly.
wonderful to see your face and hear your voice.
Likewise. Likewise. Absolutely.
We've been connected for a lot of years.
When you really think about it, it really has been,
Yeah.
and when you really think about it, for real.
It's been a lot of years. Wow. It the time when I see your face and I hear your voice, it gives me flashbacks of how long, like, we've been connected, and it's a really great feeling.
Absolutely, and the good and the best and the word is connected, like, we're still connected. Whether we talk every day, whether we talk once a month, like, we're still connected, like, so it's good. I definitely agree. I definitely agree. It's been a great connection.
It's been a great connection. Girl, we sound like we paid for some expensive therapy. Like, we
Right. Exactly.
very intentional about word choice, like, we paid for
Exactly,
some expensive
exactly.
therapy.
So what is going on with you? Like what is going on in your life? All the different aspects, all the different things that you're involved in. What is going on with you?
Oh my gosh. Um, a lot is going on, and I want to give God the glory and the credit
Mhm.
for that. That there's a lot going on, whether it's good or indifferent. It's not bad.
Yeah, yeah. I
It's
like
good
that.
or
Mhm.
indifferent. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I am still running my small business content commanders. We just made it to the 3-year mark. 3 years?
Yay!
Yeah, and that's a lot of work. I ran my previous business for 15 years and stopped and then started this new business. And so to get to the 3-year mark amid a global pandemic and
Right.
inflation out the
Yeah.
union and all of this stuff, to get to the 3-year mark is amazing. I'm still located in my downtown brick and mortar, which again is amazing because taking up physical space is in a small rural
Mhm.
city as a black woman
Mhm.
is is a feat. And there are so many intricacies with that. So to God be the glory for being able to take up physical space and be present.
Absolutely.
I have turned 40,
What?
which
When you do that?
I know. I turned 40 in September. And let me tell you, baby, 40 is a different animal. It's, I don't even know. I don't even, we're going to have a whole different session for Shannon Dunn turned 40. We're going to name the podcast episode Shannon Dunn turned 40. So
Okay, I got you.
there's that. And I have multiple teenage sons. Like this year, I will have a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 13-year-old by the end of 2024.
What in the world?
A
Wait a minute, time
20-year-old
out.
son.
Time out. How are you even still like smiling? How are you even like why are you not in a corner right now? Like those ages are critical, crazy ages.
Crazy for me, not them. Like it's
Right.
crazy for me. But you know what? Ironically, right? I think my mothering style, my parenting
Mhm.
style is a little bit avant-garde to the point that the smile for me got bigger as they get older. A lot of parents, a lot of moms are like, oh, they're leaving the house, they're growing
Mhm.
up. I'm like, 5, 4, 3, 2, open the door. Yeah.
Right.
But it is very interesting to hear out of my own mouth that I have a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
How, first of all, how you gonna have a 20-year-old when you only 21?
Exactly. Exactly. And you looking
The
good as
math
you
don't
looking.
happen,
Like what
right? Because I'm
where we do
still
that at?
21 in my head. I'm still 21. But the idea that I birthed a child 20 years ago,
Yeah.
it's like, so that's going on. Um, I am still happily married to a loving husband, and we're celebrating our 20th wedding anniversary, which is
Wow.
another,
Congratulations.
yeah,
That's awesome. That's another milestone.
thank you. It's just
All
milestone over
over.
milestone, which is great, which is a blessing, which is a testament to God's love for me and my family. But what's interesting in all of this, and I'm starting a new creative project that I'm not ready to let out the bag
Okay.
yet. But what's interesting in all of this is that all of it has just shifted my perspective, my personality, my energy. Like all of these new milestones have etched into me in a way that it almost feels like it's changing my DNA.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Interesting. It's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Wow, that's amazing. So how do you
Yes.
what does your day look like? You have teenagers and you're running your own business and you're married, and I'm sure and they're boys at that. So I'm sure they must have a lot of things going. Like I don't know if they do sports or extracurricular activities, but like what does your how do you what does your day look like?
um, well, I try to establish routine.
Mhm.
I used to time block everything.
Mhm.
Um, and I realized that I became, as the Virgo ENTJ personality type, it was a little too stringent and too pressuring for me. But my day typically looks like I lift weights, I cook, I run shuttle back and forth between school and soccer games and soccer practices. I am, of course, being a present mother and listening to conversations about girlfriends and first
Right.
loves and broken hearts. And this is why I wear pajamas to school, like being present for
Yeah.
all of that. And then being a partner and a friend to my husband. So and we both have our own businesses.
Mm,
So balancing being a sounding board with being a friend and being a wife and lover and what that all looks like and how that intermingles throughout the day. So if I could compartmentalize all of that, I would say my day looks like intentional self-care, spiritual reflection, because I start every morning with a Bible devotional and Bible journaling,
absolutely.
um, and intentional parenting, intentional marriage and relationship, and trying to give myself grace.
Mm,
Less pressure, more grace.
mm.
That's what it looks like.
Absolutely. So how do you give yourself more grace? Because a lot of times women, we like you said with pressure, there is a lot of pressure and we feel like it has to be done a certain way by a certain time by, everything has to be, whatever. But give and we I don't think a lot of women give themselves grace when it comes to the different tasks and the different things that they have to do that. So how do you give yourself grace? What does that look like?
Well, how I got to this grace
Mhm.
period,
Yeah, where it started,
uh,
absolutely.
is right, like, how I got to this grace period was really just maturity and time, right?
Mm,
And there is something very cathartic and life-changing about turning 40. It really is. I
mhm.
mean, I heard it and I was like, look, it can't be any different from the 35 to 36 or 36 to 37. No. 39 to 40, there is like the world does this.
Mm,
And I think that in that shift, what happened was the grace period, was this looking back and reflecting and realizing my own maturity and realizing that putting that pressure on myself or anyone else was only harming me. It did not help in any way.
yeah, yeah,
Like something was going to get done regardless, or it wasn't going to get done
right.
regardless. But that internalized pressure of it's got to be done by this way, by this time, in this manner was only hurting me.
Yeah,
And so that's how I got to that space through time and maturity and turning 40 and just realizing that the only one applying the pressure was me. God isn't even applying the
yeah,
pressure.
big facts,
So
yeah,
the only one applying the pressure to my life and to my daily task and to my goals was me. And if I just removed the pressure and allowed myself to flow and feel, um, that maybe I would operate better.
yeah.
But I will tell you this, it did not come without sacrifice.
Mm,
It didn't come without pain. It didn't come without transition. And the life or mindset that I kind of have now, I call it my Moses era. I am
mm,
in the desert right now. And
yeah,
I know that I'm being groomed and, there's a call the calling was already made for me. The purpose was already made. I'm
yeah,
waiting. I'm in this desert period just waiting, and that is allowing me to reflect on the next version of
mhm.
myself that I would like to be and how much in alignment that could be with the purpose that I
I
have.
love that, I love that. So, Um, I know you were just talking about waiting and what it did for you, and you talked about it in a positive manner. And then I too can relate because I went through a waiting process where it was also in a positive manner because during that waiting time there was a lot of downloading that was happening. I took that time to reflect on myself, to reflect on life, to reflect on my surroundings, my blessings, my family. Like it was a lot of downloading. I was allowing God to really just speak to me. I wasn't doing too much talking, so it ended up being a positive waiting season. And but the thing is there are a lot of women where during that waiting season, they're like twiddling their thumbs, like, because it used to be me too.
That was
Yeah, it used to
me.
be me
I
too.
was I'm losing my mind in my waiting
Yeah,
period. Like,
seriously.
first yeah, I'm losing my mind in my waiting period. Number 1, I'm not the most patient person.
Facts.
I feel like if God had a test before we got to heaven and was like, "All right, Shannon, last question. Are you patient? This is going to let you into heaven." I'm be like, "No." He'd be like, "Go, turn around, go." Because I it's that bad. I'm not a patient person. And for me to sit here
Mhm.
and wait
Yeah, yeah,
and not know what I'm waiting for,
exactly. For me, it was
like,
control.
bruh,
Like, so you're saying patience. For me, it was control. Like, so if my question would have been, "Will you relinquish control to me?"
and you gonna be
Look,
like, "So the exit is that way?"
yeah,
You said.
left or right, exit stage, left
That
or
way or
right.
that way.
Like, you know what I mean? Because for me, it was control. If I did not have control, if I did not like you, I don't know what to expect, I don't know, but if I'm controlling it and if I have my hands in it, then I know what's coming next. I know what's about to happen. So, but during that
Okay.
time of my waiting period, it took a lot of, okay, letting go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like relinquishing control, like let it go. And it really taught me that as well. So, really it's how do we how do we get the other women women there? Because it's hard. It's hard.
It's hard. I don't I think everybody's waiting period is gonna be
Absolutely.
different, but everybody's gonna have a waiting period, especially as a woman. You're
Absolutely.
gonna have this waiting period where especially if you're purposely trying to make progress in your life, you're gonna have a waiting
Mhm.
period. And it's because as you trudge forward, as you keep moving forward, you have to shed. Because it's like a snowball, right? That snowball gets bigger and
Mhm.
faster rolling down the hill and becomes an avalanche. The problem is it's picking up more weight. That's where the momentum
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
coming from. It's picking up more
Yeah.
weight and volume as it goes. And what once was a cute little
Mhm.
snowball, right, becomes this treacherous thing.
That's
It's very
bulldozing
powerful,
towards yeah.
it's
Full
very
force.
big, but it's treacherous. And I didn't want to be that.
Yeah.
I didn't wanna be a snowball, right?
Yeah.
Small, insignificant, but I learned that I didn't wanna be an avalanche.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to wreak havoc on everything by being too big, too powerful, too fast, too
Mm.
this. And so finding that medium put me in a waiting period.
Yeah.
It was like the snowball formed, and it started rolling down the mountain, and it stopped. And it
Mm.
was like, "Sit right here until I decide what I'm going to be." And I told one of my friends, I was like, "I feel like I'm in my Moses era when I was" 2023 was really, really hard for me, really
Mm.
hard. And it was so hard that during the New Year's Eve countdown, I held my breath because the
Wow.
idea of 2024 coming was so anxious ridden. It was so
Mm.
angst. I was just
Yeah.
like, can't go into 2024 feeling how I feel right now, and I have no idea what to expect. When the countdown hit 1, I let the biggest sigh of relief go. Number
Mm.
1, because I was still alive. I don't know if I expected to have spontaneous combustion or
Right.
what,
Right.
but I was still alive, but there was this glimmer of hope that everything that went on in 2023 would be left there,
Yeah.
and I could move into 2024 with a different momentum, right? And then 2024 happened, and I got hit with a waiting period.
Mm.
And I thought I was gonna be gung
Right.
ho January
Like,
1,
"Let's go. We
run
ready."
with it. Sat down, like, "Sit right here and don't move." And when I tried to move, when I tried to revert back to my old ways, I physically got sick
Wow.
and had no but to sit and wait. And it became very evident that I was supposed to be in a waiting period.
Wow.
If that all makes
It
sense. It
does.
became very evident. The more I resisted it, the more I learned I was supposed to be in a waiting period.
So would you say that a wait no matter what your waiting period looks like, a waiting period
Mhm.
is almost inevitable and it's needed? Everybody has
It's
to
a rite of
have
passage.
a waiting period at some point in your life in order to survive the next stage and phase of your life. Would you say that the waiting period is a must?
It's a must. It's a rites of
Mhm.
passage, and I would closely assimilate it to when seasons change.
Mm.
You know how on the calendar it says, "Oh, this is the first day of fall, last day of
Right.
summer," right? There is no hard cut
Right. Right.
between summer and fall. There's this long extended period of you can't tell what's going
Right.
on. Some days it's hot, some days it's cool. Some days the leaves are falling, some days it feels like you can go to the beach, right? I think that closely mimics God's idea of a waiting period,
Mhm.
that you don't know what the next day or moment is going to look like just because this date is set that tells you that this transition is happening does not mean it's
Absolutely.
happening. And so for women, we set these goals, right? That by this time, this day, even these milestone trackers, even these things in our daily schedule, this has to happen by then,
Right.
right? And then we have these transitions where you cannot control, or just because you have it there doesn't guarantee that it's going to happen. And
Exactly.
you have to just flow.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's how I
Exactly.
feel.
No, I love that. And what's crazy is that why is to me, really it seems to me that we're putting this pressure on ourselves, and then at the same time
Mhm.
we're setting these milestones, but are we setting the milestones according to what we want or what society is saying that it should be? You know what I mean? Like it's
I think we set milestones according to a former version of ourselves.
yeah.
I mean, I look at some of my milestones and I realized reaching them did not make me happy.
Mm,
And that's weird
yeah.
because I'm a happy person.
Right.
But I'm like, well, why doesn't it make me happy?
Mm,
And I think because you set a forward thinking or forward progressing milestone according to a previous version of yourself. I'll give you an
mhm.
example. When I was working in the corporate world, I was earning like at when I last left, I was earning close to
Mm,
$70,000, right?
okay.
And so when you broke that down after taxes, it was like $4,000 a month after taxes, after insurance,
Mhm.
all of this, right?
Of course.
And
Mhm.
then I remembered in a previous business venture, the most I had earned as an entrepreneur in a previous business venture was like $3,500 a month, right?
Mhm.
So I told myself, I was like, man, I can't wait for the day where I earn five figures a month. I can't wait. I can't wait. I don't even know if it's
Right.
possible. I don't think it's real. But I set that milestone in that version of myself. As
Mm,
I evolved, I hit that milestone, right? So five
mm,
figures a month, I'm like, I'm not happy. Like I did it and I did it consistently
mm.
and I'm not happy. Well, that goal was for that version of myself.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not happy.
Yeah.
The version of myself that I am now is like, that's irrelevant
Yeah.
for me right
Because you
now.
were
It's
progressing as well,
necessary.
like, you were evolving as well. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the goals change. So those milestones change. And I think that's what tends to happen is that we set these milestones and these goals for a previous version of ourselves or a current version of ourselves, but we're constantly evolving.
Mhm.
So when we hit those things and they're not rewarding or they're not as grand as we thought, it's because we've evolved so much past
Mhm.
that that it's almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
And that's that
Yeah. And
pressure.
that's the pressure, right.
It's just never enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly what I was about to say, and then that adds more pressure because then we're like, "Dang, like, I ain't reached that like, I reached the goal and it still ain't doing like, what in the world?" Like
Like, it's still not there. I lift weights, and I remember wishing I could go from lifting one amount to the other amount. And then I got there and then realized, oh, well, I don't really want to be that muscular. So then it
Right.
was like, the goal changed. And so now I'm not happy with the goal that I had set
Yeah.
6 months prior because the mindset evolution had already started
Mhm.
changing. And then you wind up reaching the goal and you're like, oh, well,
Mm.
that's not really what I really wanted. I'm like,
Right.
child, a mess.
Make
It's a
make you wanna
mess.
throw the weight, like, forget it.
Forget
Forget
it.
it.
Forget it. It's not even that. But it's still, I think, also sinking in the reality is that you still have to be appreciative and happy that even though the goal has changed or the mindset has changed, you did do the thing you set out to do. So sitting in that moment and being present in that moment and saying, hey, whether or not it's relevant anymore, I did make that thing happen. And if you didn't make it happen, instead of looking at it as this ultimate failure,
Yeah.
look at it as I caught it just in
Yes.
time
Yes.
to shift.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's yeah, I like that. Okay, so now there is a confusion, I believe, with
Uh-huh.
juggling all the different tasks that women have to do on a daily basis, um,
Uh-huh.
including all the things we have to balance internally, if that makes sense. So with just self,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? So what is the difference between living a balanced life and multitasking? Or is there a difference? Like, what does that look like?
So the Shannon thought on
Yes,
this, right,
please.
is for me, I don't balance. Balance is the idea that two things,
Mhm.
to me, balance is the idea that two things or multiple things are equal. And for me and my lifestyle, that is
Mm.
impossible. To say that running my business and being a mom to four sons is equal, is
Mhm.
balanced every day is not
Got you.
true.
Okay.
It does
Mhm.
this. So for me, multitasking takes more prominence than balance. Multitasking for me is the idea that I touch
Yeah,
everything every day,
absolutely.
even if it's not for an extended period. For instance, I might not go to the soccer practice, but I'll pack the soccer snacks and soccer bag and let my husband take them to
Mhm.
practice while I am cooking dinner and also, washing a load of
Right.
clothes and also listening to a podcast, right? I'm multitasking, I'm touching everything because I thought balance was the thing, was the ideal life. But for me and my life and everything that I have going on, to think that everything would carry the same weight
Mhm.
every day was just totally
Yeah,
unrealistic, and I was burning myself
it
out.
can. Absolutely.
Yeah, multitasking is key. I touch a little bit, even if it's 5 minutes on this, 30 minutes on that. Every day something gets touched,
Mhm.
and I if it doesn't get touched, I'm not punishing myself for it. It's okay.
Right.
Let it
It's
go.
okay.
Keep the tab open. They'll be there
Right.
tomorrow.
So with the
Yep.
multitasking, you're saying touch as long as you touch everything. But some would
Mhm.
say um, complete at least one task a day. Do you agree with that, or just touch what you can and save something for the next day?
I think I think completion is important for the serotonin,
Hmm.
right? The happy
Hmm.
feeling. I think completion is important to that. I think in reality, completion sometimes is just not possible.
Absolutely.
So I think it all depends on what is your personal trigger and
Hmm.
motivation, right? The serotonin to kick in to give you that
Yep.
happy feeling, then you might want to complete the task. If it's at least I can put it to the back of my mind because I touched it, I looked at it, I dealt with it, I know it's there. but now I can scoot it to the side. If that's what works for you, do that
Absolutely.
thing. Um, I really think it's what you're after. And I think that what's most important for women is that we don't judge, criticize, scrutinize
That part.
another woman's um, choice of whether or not it's a serotonin high or I just had to touch it to get it done.
Absolutely.
Like my life is different from yours. It just is. So for me to look at you and be like, she still left 3 dishes in the sink, so did she actually wash the
Right.
dishes? Like, girl, get them dishes.
Right.
Like, if you had to stop the dishes so that you could go catch up on your favorite show so that you could feel better,
Right.
go watch that show, girl. Guess what? Them dishes gonna be there.
Right. Exactly.
Or then you learn the art of delegation and you say, "Go get them dishes. Go do that
Right.
thing." Like, but I think still, even in that serotonin high that I touched everything, you still have to, in balance or multitasking, realize that delegation is a key factor in both.
Mhm.
And if you don't learn that in some key aspect, you're not gonna get that serotonin high and you're not gonna
Yeah.
touch everything.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to tell somebody else to go do that thing.
Yeah.
That's what it
I
is.
struggle with that. Yeah. 'Cause
Really?
what? I just told you in the beginning, like, control is, like, a thing for me. I
Girl, see,
struggle.
that's the ultimate control to me to tell other
Yeah,
people what
true.
to
If you look at it
do.
that way, that's true, that's true. But yeah, it's that's
Don't
something
do
that I
that.
definitely struggle with because I am in my mind, and my husband tells me all the time, like, "Tell like, you got 5 kids. Tell them one of
Mhm.
them to go do that. They are capable of doing each and all of those things that you're trying to do." But me, it's like my control issues, if that's what you wanna call it, it's like
But you know what? I wouldn't even call that control. I would call that, for lack of better
mhm.
words, ego.
First off, don't be coming on here trying to psychologize me.
The
That's not even a word.
reason the reason I can say
Yeah.
that is because I was
Mhm.
that. It wasn't
Mhm.
control, it was ego. It was this idea that
Mhm.
right? Ego operates in
Right.
vanity, right? I am the only person that can do
Absolutely.
this. I'm the only person that can do it this way, at this time, in this manner. It is ego driven versus control.
Okay, I like that.
So when you drop the ego just a tad, right? We need a lot of ego to operate. This is a hard world, and we need that
Right.
vanity to drive some
Mhm.
element of us. But when you drop it just a little to say, yeah, I'm the best person to do it, but I don't feel like doing it right now. You
You do
do it.
it. I like that. I like that.
You can still operate in that ego and say, oh, yeah, I'm the best, but I don't feel like it right now. So you do it. And it gives you, again, that serotonin high of saying, I am that person.
Right.
And it gives you that element of delegation that says, but I need you to be that person.
Yeah.
So you get ego, you get control, you get delegation, you get
Yeah.
you get these things that fuel, just get it
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Just get it
Yeah,
done.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. Well, you just helped me out because now when somebody or my husband be like, "You ain't got to have control over everything," I'm like, "It's not control, it's my ego. So y'all just go about your business."
I, again, like, are you 40 yet? Are you 40
No, I'm
yet?
not 40.
Not the hair flip on us geriatric 40-year-olds.
I'm not 40 yet.
Well, since you hair flipping on, you're not 40. You're not 40 yet, baby. When you step up to my weight class, you'll see that you're like, wait a minute. What? You mean to tell me I lost all this time doing it that way?
Mm,
I promise you, it's a 40-year-old light bulb that happens.
wow.
It's like a whoop that makes you say, what? I wasted that time, those conversations, those tears, that emotion,
Yeah.
that money, that resource on doing it that way, and this way works better? Are you kidding me?
Right.
It's life
So
changing.
basically, for our under 40 folks, we just have
Yeah.
to go over to the light switch
Wait.
and hit the light switch a little sooner so that way we can not find ourselves going through. So basically some things can be avoided if that light switch came on before 40.
It could, but you know what?
But then at the same time,
It's
yeah, go
not.
ahead.
It's not like it's not. I did a lot of research on turning 40 because I was actually writing a book about turning 40.
Mm.
So I did a lot of scientific
Mhm.
research, a lot of cosmopolitan
Mhm.
research. Um, and 40 is like scientifically, spiritually, and socially a pivotal
I can see
age.
that. Yeah.
It's major.
Yeah.
And so when you combine all of those elements, you realize that none of the stuff that happens when you turn 40 you could have experienced at 39. It's
Mm.
weird. You couldn't have experienced it
I
at
can see that.
35, you couldn't have experienced it at 30. It had to be at that
Yeah, I
moment.
can see that. Because that goes back to even when we're talking about evolving, there is, and even when we're raising our children, there's things that we tell our children, because especially like our middle child, he's always like, well, Evan, how old was Evan when you let him do this? Or Evan did this, and what, and, Evan is allowed to do this. And we always have the conversation like there's Evan, and Evan is our oldest. So
Yep,
there's things that he's going to do. There's conversations that we're going to have with him that we did not have with him at the age that you are. We have to wait for
yep,
that waiting period.
yep.
We have to wait
That waiting
for
period.
that time to and we have to wait for you to mentally, spiritually, emotionally be prepared.
Mhm.
And the waiting period is going to prepare you for when you hit 16 and you're ready to now have that conversation or go to the basketball game by yourself or whatever the case may be. So I can definitely agree with that because every stage of our life, even as a baby, like from baby till 40, 50, 60, 70, every stage of our life, from that stage to the next stage, we're waiting and we're evolving and we're maturing and like we're waiting, getting to the next phase. And during that waiting and evolving period, we are um, being best prepared for the next phase because like you said that
Yeah.
the phase at 40, if I tried it at 20, it probably I might have
You're right.
emotionally would not have been ready for that.
You're right. It's so interesting that you say that because I think when you are a child or an adolescent, there are permissions,
Mhm,
right? And those permissions are waiting periods. You have to wait until you get a certain age. Society places them, your parents
mhm,
place them.
mhm.
Permissions. You can't do this until you're a certain
Yeah,
age. You can't do this until you're a certain maturity, right? And I think that when you become adults, you magically feel like
yeah,
I don't need permission
'cause I'm
from
an adult
anyone to do
already. Yeah.
anything. I'm an
Exactly,
adult. But
exactly.
what happens ironically is that now it's God's permission.
Yeah,
So you're entering these waiting periods in these spaces, and instead of waiting for another adult to tell you that you're ready or society to tell you that you're ready, now you're waiting for God to tell you you're ready to
absolutely,
elevate to this period.
absolutely.
And that is the hardest permission
It definitely
because
is.
when you're 13 and you wanna drive and you gotta wait until you're 16, at least you
Yeah,
know 3
yeah,
years,
yeah,
boom, I'm good, right? You have these triggers and these signals to let you know, I can count down and know the
yeah.
date that this is gonna happen. When you are an adult, You don't have that. There is no
Right.
countdown to say, at least on this date, it's going to happen. You just
We just
sitting
sitting
there
there
like
twiddling our thumbs like, "Okay.
any
All
moment.
right, Lord.
Like it can happen while
All
I'm
right,
waiting for the
Lord."
light to turn green. Like
Right.
we don't know when it's going to happen. So that's why you kind of have to learn how to appreciate the waiting period,
Yeah.
appreciate the grace period, appreciate that, where you are at 30, you're not going to be at 40. You better hope you're not in the same space.
Right.
Do the work so where you
Yeah.
are at 30, you're not at
Yeah.
40. But appreciate all that time in between.
Absolutely.
And that's important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, um, so if there was a secret that
See,
you would
okay.
have to tell
Mm-hmm.
yourself at that age 20, 30 years old,
Mm-hmm.
um, what is that secret that you would, because obviously only the 40-year-old ones know. So what's that secret you would tell the
Right.
20 and 30-year-old self?
Mm. The secret, like the life hack, the thing.
Yeah.
What
Yeah, well,
secret? Like
it can, and it just your secret
the secret
because
to surviving? What
yeah, so
secret?
it's the secret to how you are and the headspace that you are now at 40, because there was, you're not just balancing it all, but including balancing it all, including multitasking, the headspace that you're in, the overall life. What is
Hmm.
that secret to to a 20 and 30-year-old self?
I would probably say forcing it doesn't make it
Mm,
happen. And if it does if by force it happens, it won't last.
yeah.
I would have to say that. And I'm still learning that. But the 20-year-old version of Shannon, first off, the 20-year-old version of Shannon was a mom and was married. So let's
Yeah.
talk about that. But the 20-year-old version of Shannon believed if you didn't do it kicking and screaming without a lot of pain and pressure and angst, that it wasn't going to happen.
Mm,
Right?
absolutely.
So everything was forced. Everything was gotta do it, gotta do it, gotta do it. Now I'm realizing that you can force yourself to do a lot of things, but it won't sustain
Mm,
because you will burn out, you will have regrets, your snowball will turn into an avalanche, you will burn bridges, you will feel indifferent about yourself, but at least you got it done.
yeah.
Nobody wants to say Nobody wants to say that.
Mhm.
So don't force it.
I love it.
Yeah, I was just listening to this conversation the other day about the idea of a girl boss, which is a term I've always hated, but it's just this idea that a girl boss is, according to the conversations that I was listening to, a girl boss is a man boss that's a girl. It is not an empowering term.
Mhm,
It is the idea that we became the boss that the man
mhm,
was, but we're just feminine. There were no ideation
mm,
changes. There were no, if a woman does it, she does it this way. We just feminized it. And I say all that to say is that I had to unlearn that forcing myself to take on roles, participation, challenges, presence, relationships, tasks, jobs that force, all of those things have left me,
mm,
etched something into me, but they're fleeting, they're gone.
yeah,
And they're gone because I could not sustain the pressure of them.
yeah,
I don't want to force anymore.
yeah,
I just
yeah. I love it. That is good. I love it. I like that secret. No longer a secret anymore.
Whoop, done told the whole world. Don't force it, baby.
Right. Well, it was a pleasure. I enjoyed it. Tell the people what you do or how they can reach you, how they can connect with you.
Okay. So I am Shannon Baylor Henderson, and thank you for having me and having this conversation with me.
Absolutely.
It is eye opening. You are well appreciated and well respected by me. So thank you. Um, you can find a little bit of Shannon Baylor Henderson across all aspects of the internet. So I would tell you first, if you want to find me and find out what I'm up to and what I'm doing first, just Google Shannon Baylor Henderson because that brand exists. And then in terms of the business Content Commanders, you can find us on the internet at www.contentcommanders.com. And we are a content marketing and storytelling agency that adds more power, personality, and perspective to a brand's digital, print, and social media messages.
Mm.
So you are a small business that needs marketing and storytelling assistance. Here we are able to assist you. And yeah, just keep an eye on me, folks.
I know.
There's some things happening.
Watch out for her now.
There's
Watch out for her. She
the,
coming.
the Moses era is ending. I'm coming up out this desert, and when I do,
I love it.
y'all better be ready.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you again so much. It was so enlightening, inspirational, and all the above. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much. Thank you.
Come on, Shannon. Yes. Listen, I hope that Queen Shannon Baylor Henderson blessed you. Listen, we have to stop putting so much pressure on ourselves. The world is already going to put enough pressure on you for everybody in America. Stop putting so much pressure on yourselves. Celebrate every single goal, every single milestone that you achieve. You celebrate it, and you celebrate it like you just became president of the United States. Okay, celebrate it. But on the flip side, if there are goals and milestones that you have not achieved based off of who you used to be, that is okay. Don't allow that to determine your happiness for who you are today. It is okay. Set new goals, set new milestones, because as you continue to grow, as you continue to evolve, guess what? Your goals and your milestones and your desires are going to grow and evolve as well.